I'm ready, and you're ready, and Felicia's ready. But what do we have to do first? We got to hear the music. I'll see you guys in a Welcome. You are on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. I'm Vickie Helm, and this is the Coffee Break Show. It's brought to you by Metadime Digital. Happy Cinco de Mayo. All right, so today we are going to have fun. I have Felicia Slattery on with me, and you guys know that when she's on, we always have a good time. But today we're going to have some fun. We are going to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, and we're going to celebrate the launch of her new plant-based cookbook. Tell us about that right quick for us. That's it. Look at that. It's gorgeous.
Thanks for having me, Vickie. I am so excited to be here. So this is my first ever cookbook. Yay. The 7th of 8 books that I have done in my career. And it's called Plant-Based Slow Cooker Cookbook. I know, it's super creative title, right? But keywords, marketing. So, so this is my book. There are 100 recipes in here. I know you got to laugh at the marketing thing, right? Yeah. But there's 100 recipes in here. And today we're going to make one of the recipes from inside the book.
All right. I'm so glad you're here. Good morning. Heard the music. Way to go. Nice to see you. I got to tell you, if you really want to know, Jane, you could win a copy of this cookbook today. Look at this. Sean's already. I'm ready. I know you're ready because that slow cooker cookbook, you could win a copy of that book today. Somebody is going to win a free copy of this book today. Now, here's the thing. If you want a free copy of this, just put your name, and I'm going to say it throughout the show. You want a free copy of this, put your name down below. We're going to be picking somebody at the end of it. Good morning. And today we are looking at the Healthy Cooking for Food Lovers channel is now on with us today, looking at the plant-based cooking. And today somebody is going to receive a free copy of this. Look at this. I'm ready. Somebody's going to receive a free copy. So here's what you're going to type in. You're going to say, I want that cookbook. I want that cookbook. You type it in and you will be in for a drawing. At the end of it, I will pull somebody's name out. And that's right. Look at this. Somebody knows. I agree. I always have a craving for guacamole. And it's funny because it is Cinco de Mayo, right? And yes, that is the day where you make guacamole, don't you? Isn't that right? And I didn't tell them, but today we're going to make guacamole, aren't we?
That's what we're making today.
Very excited. So we got a couple of people already in. I want that cookbook. I want that cookbook. I want that cookbook. Oh my goodness. You know what it is? Some people want that cookbook. I want the free copy of this cookbook. We got some people already on it. So let's begin. I'm going to let you know that today's show is going to be all about Felicia. So Vickie is going to drop out of the way and let the maestro create the Cinco de Mayo fun. Are you ready for that?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, Felicia, thank you for being here. I want that cookbook. I'll be in every blue moon. I want that free cookbook. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Have fun.
All right, thanks, Vickie. So I'm excited to see you, all the folks who are interested in the cookbook. I hope you win. And so here's what we're going to do is we are going to make some guacamole today because I thought, you know what, Cinco de Mayo, what the heck, why not? So the book launches next Tuesday is the official date that it's available on Amazon, but it's available on pre-order right now. But wait to see if you win before you order it because you may get it for free, right? All right, so we're gonna make some guacamole. This recipe is on page. I have to put it back here because I don't want to put my old lady glasses on. All right, it's on page 145 here in the cookbook. I put my little clip there so I don't lose it. And it's called greener guacamole. So I called it green guacamole. My editor liked greener, so guess what made it in the book? So the reason I call my guacamole green guacamole is because everything I put in it is green. There's a more traditional guacamole recipe that uses tomatoes. Usually when I'm eating guacamole, I'm having something that has tomatoes or it has a tomato salsa in it. So I feel like that's like redundant on tomatoes. So I don't add the tomatoes in my guacamole. Absolutely, if you want to, go for it. But this is my recipe that I make for my family. So here's how we're going to start. We're going to start with a lime, and I'm using 4 avocados today. The reason I'm using 4, the recipe calls for 2, so I'm doubling it. And the reason that I'm doing that is because we love guacamole at my house. I'm not going to lie. We love it. And I am thinking I'm going to make a taco dip later as our dinner. And so I am going to use these avocados. So you see me here kind of picking away at this little nubby thing on the avocado. That's how you can tell if they are ripe. You pull that little nubby off, and if it's a perfect green color in there, then you know your avocado is ripe. And that's if you're not so used to feeling what a ripe avocado feels like. So they give a little bit underneath when your fingers are pushing them in, and that's how you know you've got a ripe avocado on your hands. So they've got a nice amount of give, and when I cut into this avocado, you're going to see it is the perfect green, no brown in this one. So another thing that you need to know about avocados, well, most people come home and they pop them immediately. I'm looking for a place to put this. I didn't bring a little garbage bag over. I'll clean it later. Most people immediately put their avocados in the fridge because you want cold guacamole or cold whatever you're going to eat your avocado with, right? Well, if your avocados are hard like rocks, which most of the time when you buy them in the grocery store, they're really hard, and you put them in the fridge, they are never going to get ripe. They're just going to stay hard for a really long time. So keep them out on your counter. And if you need to get them ready in a hurry, you can put them in a brown paper bag with either an apple or a banana, and they'll ripen overnight a little bit better than they would. That there's ethylene gas in the peel of bananas, and I use banana more than apple, but because we always look at those bananas back there. We always have a ton of bananas. My husband eats a ton of them, so we always have bananas. So that's what I use, and then just a regular brown paper bag is perfect. So. And that's how you get your avocados ripened in a hurry. I have not had success using some of the other methods, putting it in the microwave or putting it in the oven. So you want to try to shop for your avocados in advance of needing them. So what I'm doing here to get the seed out is I just popped my knife into the seed and kind of gave it a little turn, and then out it came. And then I am dicing the avocados right in their skin. And being careful with my chef's knife here. I'm not slicing all the way through because that would be dangerous and would hurt myself, and I'm not going to do that. So I am going to just slice this final avocado. And these are kind of little. So sometimes you get an avocado, depending on where you get them at the store, and they have really big ones. I buy small or medium-sized ones. So, and this recipe, one of the things that I love about it, it's very, very easy to scale. So if you want to make guacamole for a crowd, I use 1 avocado to 1 green onion, and I just scale up from there. So I scale up the lime juice, which we'll use. I scale up the cilantro, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So all I'm doing is just scraping out, since I've already gone to the work of dicing the avocado in the shell, I'm just scraping it out with a spoon. So people say a back of a spoon. I always wondered, like, what the heck does a back of a spoon mean? It means you put the spoon in, you scoop it out. That's what it means. So anyway, because the back of the spoon goes along this edge here. So anyway, it was always something that bothered me in recipes. So I was like, what do you mean by the back of a spoon? They just mean scoop stuff out. So I have created a brand called Plant-Based Home Cooking. And that's what I do is I make plant-based food. We can talk about that if you want in a little while, but I make plant-based food. I've been a home cook since I was a high school student. There's a whole story involved with that. And so I finally said I had to do a pandemic pivot. I was a professional speaker. I still am a professional speaker. People still pay me to show up, but not so much right now because, Re:Invent in the World got shut down. So anyway, I said, what do I love to do? Cooking. In fact, there was a period in my life where I was 18. I was graduating high school, and I had to decide: am I going to go down the path of culinary school, or am I going to go down the path of college and learn about communication and public speaking? Well, that's the path I followed, was communication and public speaking, and I did cooking for fun for my family. And I absolutely have loved it. I started a food blog in 2013. And so it was a very natural shift for me. And I had an opportunity to write not one, but 2 cookbooks I was offered in the last 6 months. So I said, sure, what the heck, why not? All right, so what I'm doing with this lime here is I am rolling this lime. I'm giving it some good pressure. That's why I've got 2 hands here. Giving it some really good pressure because I want the juice to be flowing in this lime. All right, so I'm going to take my extra sharp serrated edge knife. And then I don't have a fancy citrus juicer. I just use this kind of old-fashioned one, and I put it on a bowl. And I like to use a juicer of some kind because my hands just aren't strong enough to get all of the juice out of a lemon or a lime or an orange. They're just not. I don't think anybody's really are. And so even my very strong husband, who's a personal trainer, because look, you got to get all of the stuff out of there. I always smell my citrus. I love it. So that's how you get all of the juice out, is you use the proper tool. So I'm using this reamer here, and there's other ones. There's handheld ones where you can squish them, but I like this one because I can really give it some good force, good leverage to get all that juice out of there. Yum. All right. I told you I always smell them. So this is about, if I was going to measure this, this would probably be about 3 tablespoons worth of lime juice. Okay. I use measurements in the cookbook, like a half of a lime, juice of a lemon, things like that. So that way you're not having to measure juice. All right. So we've got in there. So far we got our greens. We got 2 green things. We got a green avocado. We got green lime juice. Well, the lime juice isn't so green, but the outside is green. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to put in here is we're going to do a bunch of cilantro. And cilantro is an interesting ingredient because if you've ever had somebody say, oh, I don't like guacamole, or I don't like Mexican food, or, or they know the ingredient is cilantro, it's because about 10% of the population have a gene in their bodies that make cilantro or anything that it is in taste like soap. Ugh. So that's not so nice, right? Normally, I reserve the cilantro for the very end. My mom is one of those people that has that gene. So when I know she's coming over for dinner, I do not, I make everything up first, and then I add the cilantro at the end. But before I do that, I scoop out what I think she's going to eat, and I put it in a little bowl, and then she has her own. So that's one of the things you can do when you're at home, right? Is you can make the food for your family. I'm not a person who makes 17 different dishes because this one likes this and this one doesn't like that. And I don't do that. Like, we're having what we're having. But if I can make it easily so that a family member who doesn't care for a particular ingredient doesn't have to eat that ingredient, why would I not? Right? So it's just as easy for me to mash the whole thing together and give my mom a separate little bowl. So, but she doesn't live with us and doesn't eat with us all the time, and not tonight. So in went the cilantro. All right, so we've got some green onions here, otherwise known as scallions. I call them green onions. My editor insisted on calling them scallions, so that's what we got. They're scallions. So I am just going to chop off the little hairy root end here. And I have, just off screen, I have a little what I call my veggie broth bowl. I put my odds and ends in here. And what I do is, I'm going to turn around and show you what I do. I save them in the freezer. And I just stick them in a bag. And this is just one of those heavy duty bags from the grocery store. I'm all about reusing and recycling. So and what do I have in here? I have onion skins from like regular onions. I have the core from a yellow pepper, the stem and the seeds. I have celery pieces in here. I've got the end of lettuce in here. I've got carrot peelings, broccoli pieces, all kinds of whatever vegetables I've had. And I have probably 4 of those bags filled up in there because I need to make some veggie broth. And my veggie broth, I never pay a dime for it, because stuff that would normally get tossed away into the garbage, to the garbage disposal, or in the compost bin out in the backyard. That's my backyard. Into the compost bin in the backyard. Well, guess what? I eat it. I can make my broth out of it. It's like liquid gold. So I'm just chopping off the top end of those because they get a little bit funky. And then I am just lining them up. And there's 3 here. I already chopped another one yesterday from another recipe that I didn't need all of. So I will drop that in just a second. But as you see here, I've got my fingers pulled back and I am just slicing down. And I'm going to use both the green parts and the white parts. Some people don't love the white parts of the onion. They feel like it's too oniony for them, but I don't feel like it's that strong of a flavor. So I love me some onion. And guess what? This is now another one of our green ingredients in our greener guacamole. So we've got green onion or scallion, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. All right. So we got that. So we've got 4 green ingredients in there. We've got the avocado, the lime juice, the cilantro, the green onion. And now I'm going to add something that is technically not green and because it's garlic. And you can decide how much garlic you love or don't love. We love ourselves some garlic in my house. And it is green because it grows and the root of the garlic is white, which is the bulb and the little cloves. But the stem of garlic is green. So we're still staying green. All right. So what did I just do there? I just smashed, boom, turned my knife sideways. I smashed my garlic. And so that it enables me to get this papery skin peel off. That's going in my veggie broth bowl right over there. And then on the end of your garlic, there's a little brown nubby. If you're chopping it up and you're going to put it in something or you're going to use your blender and blend it, you don't have to cut that off. But for me, it's a little bit woody, and I don't want anybody getting a woody piece of garlic in their guacamole. That wouldn't be delicious. So I just slice it off. It goes in the veggie broth bowl to season my veggie broth. So I'm just going to mince this up, and I've lined them up together. And you can see I'm just piling it up. I put my hand on top here of the knife, and I'm rocking my knife. And this is just a simple, easy rocking motion. I go back, and I clear off the edge of the knife, and just slice, mince, to whatever level of minced you would like your garlic to be. I don't cry if I get a big piece of garlic, but I know some people do. So, all right, here we go. This is good. A little random piece was sticking over there. So that's going straight into the bowl. And we are pretty close to being finished with this. Here's the rest of the other green onion from yesterday that I knew I had another one of. So I use 1 green onion per avocado in my bowl. Vickie's back. Hi, Vickie.
Hey, I just wanted to tell them, I know you guys are watching today, you could win a free copy of this cookbook today. All you have to do is put in this plant-based slow cooker, pressure cooker, plant-based cooking right here. You can go ahead and get that book free today. Somebody is going to win a free copy. And we're just going to ask you, put your name in below and say, I want a free copy. I want a free copy, because at the end of the show today, we are going to be giving it away. And I'm going to remove myself and let Felicia continue on.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Vickie. So yes, you can win a copy of my cookbook. Yay. Even before it's available to the public. I know. So it's available right now in pre-order on Amazon. So, all right. So what I just put in here, I just sprinkled in a little bit of cumin, and I grind my own, whenever possible, I grind my own seeds and spices, because you can buy the spices and they will last for a really long time. So I buy them in bulk and I just keep them sealed and in my cabinet up behind me there. And then when I'm ready to use them, I will grind them. I have a coffee grinder that I use specifically just for grinding my spices. And then I have another coffee grinder for coffee beans, because if you use the same one, your coffee will taste like spices, which may or may not be good. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. So you don't want your coffee tasting funky. I know Vickie's a huge coffee fan. So I grind my own. So I just keep them in my little spice jars here. And I use masking tape and a Sharpie. I'm super old school. Anyway, so that's my cumin. I just sprinkled some cumin in there. I would say probably about a half a teaspoon or so. You don't need that much cumin. I have not added any salt to this. So let's talk about that for a second. So if you're interested in plant-based eating, there are several different ways and styles of plant-based eating. One of them is just plain plant-based. And a lot of people aren't really sure, like, what does that mean exactly? What is plant-based? Does that mean the vegetarians? Does it mean you're vegan? Like, what does that mean? Well, plant-based means it's food, any food that's made from plants. Pretty simple. But again, like, well, does that mean all of the food is always made from plants? What does that mean in your diet? And really, it's kind of up to each individual person what that plant-based is. Then there's also whole food plant-based. You may see it abbreviated as WFPB, how to think about it. So whole food plant-based means that the food is being made out of whole ingredients. So that we do a lot of that in my kitchen. That's what I'm using is whole food ingredients. So if I'm buying something, for example, I bought a bag of baby carrots. The only ingredient in here is baby carrots, right? So I will buy packaged items and then use them as an ingredient in whatever it is that I'm making, or I'll just eat whatever it is by itself. So whole food means that what you're making has been itself derived from the whole food. One of the whole foods that I do eat is tofu, is a whole food. And the reason that's a whole food is the only ingredient in that is soybeans and water. And that's it. So things that have like a single ingredient, maybe water is added, that counts as a whole food. Then there's whole food, plant-based, no SOS. And that no SOS is no salt, oil, or sugar. Okay. So sugar is a pretty easy one to get around if you have done a low carb diet in the past or something like that, because there's lots of different alternatives. When we're doing whole food plant-based, no SOS, there are two really good alternatives. One is maple syrup, super easy to find. The second is dates or date syrup. And you just make your own date syrup by boiling dates. That's pretty much the short version. And dates are fantastic, any kind of dried fruit. So I use raisins and dates when I want to sweeten something. Sometimes I'll use applesauce, unsweetened applesauce, when I want to sweeten something. It just depends on what it is that I'm making. So generally, though, if I'm using a sweetener, I am using maple syrup. So that's the no sugar part. Again, relatively easy. The second one is no oil. You might think that that one is hard. In fact, for me, when I first started this plant-based eating journey a couple years ago, I was like, how is it possible to saute food without oil? Well, apparently it is. And it comes out, you don't even miss the oil. And in fact, when I've gone through or gone somewhere else, and I know that the food has been sauteed in oil, it just tastes oily to me. So the reason for no oil is not that oil is necessarily an unhealthy ingredient, right? People are like, well, what about olive oil? What about coconut oil? Those are things that I will sometimes use in moderation, very infrequently. Like a bottle of olive oil will last me 6 months, where in the past it may have lasted me 2 weeks. All right. So just to kind of give you an idea. But the reason for that we don't use oil in especially the no SOS is because oil is really empty calories. It's the highest calorie food on the planet per serving, and it doesn't do anything for your body. If you are one of these people who are like, you know what, I could stand to lose a couple of poundages. I'm just saying, a lot of people are in that boat. If you feel like you could lose a couple of pounds, cut out oil and you will immediately start to see a difference. Oil and animal products, those two things on their own, because they're super high saturated fat. That's what it is. And some oils are an unsaturated fat. I know. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a home cook, but I've learned a lot in the last few years. So anyway, so oil, we don't do oil. There's lots of things you can use in place of oil, including the whole food. So there's avocado oil, but it's in the avocado. So we're going to eat it as an avocado instead of just pouring avocado oil on something. See what I mean? So if I was going to make a dressing where a recipe might, some other recipe that maybe not be a whole food plant-based recipe would call for avocado oil, I would just use an avocado or a quarter of an avocado or whatever, however much, to get that unctuous, oily sensation that is so delicious. But I would use a whole food. I use cashews which have a lot of fat in them, and I use them to create a cheese sauce, which is, you would not know the difference. I'm just telling you, it's so good and so creamy and so delicious. So, all right, the oil thing. And then when you're sauteing, you can saute with water or broth. Those are two things you could saute with. And Vickie's back. Hi, Vickie.
Yeah, because right away while you were talking, I had some questions pop up because the oil thing that is there, that's a question for me because I love olive oil. And the coconut oil is used in some of those things. If you have to use oil, or if a recipe calls for that particular type of oil, which one is the best of the two? Is it better to use olive oil or coconut oil? Do you know? Or is it just depend on what you're cooking?
It depends on what you're cooking. And I suggest thinking about, is it an ingredient that you could leave out? So, for example, one of the
Interesting.
recipes that I make, that it's not my recipe, but it's from Minimalist Baker. I love her stuff, and she makes, the Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints.
Oh, I love those. Those are my favorite.
Okay, so I found she made that as a recipe, and I think it only has like 8 ingredients, and one of the ingredients is coconut oil. In that particular recipe, the coconut oil is an integral ingredient. If you want to get the end result, you got to use coconut oil, right?
Yeah, I see.
And I wouldn't use olive oil for that because it would give it kind of a funky, olive oily taste, which is not a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But if you're sauteing or you're making something, like I said, if I'm making a salad dressing and the salad dressing calls for oil, I'll go, okay, well, what could I put in its place? Or could I make one of my other vinaigrettes that I make that have no oil in them that would still be just as good with this particular salad and this dressing? So I really try to think about, can I substitute it? And, what do we eat with guacamole? We eat a lot of chips, right? Well, oil they're pretty oily. And so, I buy them and we have them every once in a while because, like my whole family isn't doing the whole food plant-based no SOS thing. But if they're in the house, I eat them. So I try not to have them in the house. There's ways that you can make tortilla chips in the oven out of tortillas and you bake them and they come out pretty good. But there's other things you can do. So like I said, I had these baby carrots here. So I dip a baby carrot in my guacamole and guess what? It's so good.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm going to tell you, Robin is addicted to those baby carrots.
They're
very,
fantastic.
very addicted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing you can dip your guacamole in, in your guacamole, is a little piece of celery. So I'm dropping the ends into my veggie broth bowl. But you can do celery and put out veggies with your guacamole. Put out like veggies with the chips if you really feel like we'll have to have a chip.
Yeah, a little bit both. Yeah.
Put them out together, and then when they're out together, people go, oh, okay, we'll have a piece of celery with it. I do love myself a piece of celery.
Yeah.
Yum.
That's the thing about when you get to the point where you're making something that can be dipped into. I mean, part of the fun is just dipping, and it doesn't matter. One of the best ways to eat your vegetables raw is when you have something like guacamole to dip them in, so that you can get to the point where you're having broccoli and cauliflower and this and that. And chips are okay. We do that as well, or crackers or whatever you want to do. But I think just putting out healthier choices, that's the thing that's really helpful for me. Look at this. You can absolutely substitute butter for vegetable oil. And
we don't use butter in plant-based.
Yeah, plant-based, it has to be butterless.
Not from animals, right?
Dairy, yeah.
Right.
So it's more almost plant-based is close to vegan. It's close to vegan in that way.
Yes. And so I would be defined as a vegan eater for about 99% of my diet. And why do I say that? Well, because if I go to a restaurant and they are cooking something on a line that had used, it's Cinco de Mayo, so there's a lot of lard in Mexican cooking, right? If I go to that restaurant and that's what they've used, I don't personally have a problem with that. Someone who's a vegan is often a vegan for beyond health reasons, animal welfare reasons, as well as they have made that choice to not have any animal products in their life at all, including not just food, but also cosmetics, believe it or not, have animal products in them. Leather goods have products, so like your belts and your shoes. And so someone who's a vegan has done that for generally other reasons than health. So that's the distinction between plant-based and vegan. Is plant-based is really all about the health. And also there's a lot of foods that are vegan that are not at all plant-based or healthy, like Oreos are vegan.
Oh,
Yeah.
although I do like a good Oreo. I had no idea.
So if you want to indulge yourself every once in a while, like, on a birthday or something, and you go, oh, all right, it's not really plant-based, but you're not getting those saturated animal product fats into your body. So I guess if you have to indulge in a vegan junk food once in a while, there you go.
It's interesting because I think that if you learn at a young age, if you're to the point where you have kids and things like that, as early as you can, learning to infuse the plant-based, it just goes with them as they get older. That's just what their palate turns to.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I have learned a lot about plant-based cooking from Robin, because she has been plant-based cooking for over 30 years. And the recipes, like we looked in your book and we were like, oh my God, we'll cook that and we'll cook that. And I got to tell you, when she cooks plant-based cooking, because if you know me, I'm like, give me a steak. I love prime rib. It's my, meat. I don't miss meat when she cooks in that plant-based way. And there's some sort of thought perhaps that I had that I wasn't going to be satiated unless there was some form of carnivore meat in there. But I got to tell you, those vegetable dishes are absolutely, I absolutely love them. And is there, a lot of desserts have a lot of what would not be considered plant-based food in them. Is there dessert recipes inside your cookbook and things like that?
There are. I think I've got 8 dessert recipes in here. Let me tell you what I got in this one, because I don't want to confuse it with my other one.
Well, you made one for us. You made one
I did.
dessert for us last time.
I made, so the reason I made that dessert was actually I was finishing up in the editorial process with this, and they said, is there some kind of a frosting or something? And I thought, all right, I don't know. Let me figure that out. So I made something up, and then I made a little mug cake, and that came out. I was like, oh my God, that was so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took 5 minutes to make, and we did it at the end of the other thing. So, but it's lemon poppy seed cake that you can make in your slow cooker. So that was really good. And what we use for that is I use rolled oats, and then we blend them into a flour. So oats are a whole food. And then I use a cup of white whole wheat flour. So we try to use whole ingredients as often as possible. And then there's no oil in this. So what are we using? I've got maple syrup as the sweetener, and plant-based milk. We've got lemon because it's lemon. And then we're using aquafaba, which is a fancy schmancy way of saying it's the liquid inside a can of chickpeas, which you can use in baked goods to mimic an egg, believe it or not.
Oh, had no idea.
Because beans have high protein content, like eggs have a high protein content. And the reason that some of the things that eggs add to baked goods is that protein content, which allows the ingredients to stick together. And there's a whole lot of things that eggs do that aquafaba can mimic inside a baked good. So I got the lemon poppy seed cake. Wait, what else I got? I have an apple crisp is in here.
Oh, I love apple crisp.
My dad loved carrot cake, so I have a recipe called Poppy's Carrot Cake. My kids call it Poppy, so bless his heart, he's passed on now. I have a gooey, bittersweet chocolate pudding cake. It's so good. I know.
I love chocolate.
Yep. And then I've got I have brownies. Chocolate's best friend, brownies. I have a peach cobbler. So, I mean, there's plenty. Rice pudding, pumpkin pie, oatmeal parfait.
So you're not missing anything when you go plant-based, and that's the thing right there. Although Karen has now said that Oreos are vegan, I can now consider vegan as a lifestyle choice. Okay, so Robin says, when my kids were young, the pediatrician discouraged me raising my children as plant-based. I really had to show him the light. My children ate much more balanced and with much more variety than meat eaters. And I got to say, this is actually really true as far as getting, there's a lot of variety in plant-based cooking, which I wouldn't have thought, but there is. I love everything with apple. Me too. I'm like apple pie, apple sauce, apple whatever, apple. Yeah, me too. Love it, love it, love it.
So that's one of the big misconceptions that people have is they think their doctors know about nutrition. And unfortunately, doctors are not required in most medical schools to even have one class of nutrition training, not one. So they know what everybody else knows, which is kind of what we're being bombarded with in the media. And unfortunately, I mean, one of the reasons my dad passed away, he passed away of a massive heart attack. He was sick for a very long time, but nobody knew it. And the doctors just kept giving him statins and giving him heart drugs and all of these things. And a plant-based diet has been shown to reverse and cure heart disease. Dr. Esselstyn, Caldwell Esselstyn, he is at the Cleveland Clinic. And he has been one of the pioneers of this plant-based eating. And he's a heart doctor. That's his whole thing. And one of his first things that he does with his patients who survive a massive heart attack is he puts them on a plant-based diet. Yeah. And it has saved so many people's lives, but we don't get to hear about it because of the lobbies of the meat and dairy and agricultural industries. There's no money in, eating a piece of celery.
That's right. It's you have that absolutely right. Yep. That is one of the main things about our world right now, that food is our basic medicine. And Peter, you're right. This is our bond right here. Peter and I love chocolate. We are very into chocolate. Robin says
lots of chocolate. So that's a misnomer too. A lot of people think, well, you can't have chocolate without sugar, or it has to be super sweet. I put chocolate in a lot of things. In fact, I do chocolate smoothies in the morning. And I put spinach in there, which sounds really weird, and you put banana yummy. And I made a chocolate peanut butter smoothie the other day for my daughter, and she was like, it's going to be green and weird. I was like, it's not going to be green. It will be fine, and you will love it. And she was like, oh, this is really good. Really go figure. But it's, you put sweet ingredients, like banana is super sweet. And I freeze my banana, which concentrates the frozen flavor. And you also then don't add extra ice then to your smoothies. So anyway, it's, it's a mindset shift. And for people who are new to plant-based eating, I recommend checking out a couple of the different documentaries. I watched Plant Pure Nation, which you can watch for free on YouTube. I watched, I'm going to have a mind. What the Health is another one. What the Health. That one is very eye-opening around heart disease. And then Forks Over Knives is one of the first ones that had come out. And
I saw that one.
Yep. So those are the 3 documentaries that I recommend.
It's a big wake-up call to realize. It's a big wake-up call to realize that there are plant-based proteins that are just as much protein as 6-ounce steak or 8-ounce steak. Doesn't matter. Doctors do not know about nutrition. I love this right here. Dark chocolate, red wine, veggies with guacamole sounds like dinner. That's right. We'll be over your house in an hour. Let's see. Laugh out loud. My kids said the same thing, and they now call me to ask about smoothie recipes. Avocado is a great ingredient to add smooth, creamy texture. I freeze them, then pop them in the blender. You know what's interesting? There is a new company out called Cado, and they make avocado ice cream. It's completely plant-based ice cream. Mm-hmm. And I had my first chocolate chip mint, because right away you're thinking, okay, can this be as good as ice cream?
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And I was like, okay, this is my new best friend. You're eating avocados, and it's so the plant-based solutions are fantastic. I mean, they're so much better. And I really want to support anyone. And, we're going to give a book away in a minute. We'll randomize this and give one free book. But inside is the pre-order of this cookbook. And if you love new recipes like I do, and if you love being a healthy eater like I am, then this is the cookbook for you. I mean, you want to have a variety of recipes. And what I like about hers is they're not complicated. They're not, I mean, we're talking slow cooker cookbook. You just put it in there and
Chop
let
and
her
drop,
go.
baby. Chop and drop.
Yeah, that's it. And that's really what's really great about this particular type of plant-based cooking. If you're new to plant-based cooking and you thought, man, I want to try it, man, I want to get out there and learn a little bit of it, this is the way to learn it. And you can, and I got to tell you, if you take down the recipe books that we have in our house, they're all dog-eared. There's notes in the margin because, you know, Robin will be like, family didn't like this. Family loved this. This make double batches of this, etc. And to me, I think there is a part of me that has learned right now very quickly, food is the best medicine. It is the best medicine. And the plant-based cooking I know for myself that Robin does I can feel the difference in my level of endurance and my heart health, especially my heart health, because you know, there was the couple of booms and things like that, and etc. And it's not that I don't do cheese. If there's cheese in the dish, I'm not going to turn down the dish. I'll taste it, I'll try it. But for the most part, getting healthier and better. Do you have juice recipes in that particular one at all?
We don't have, well, because we don't really make juice in a slow cooker. So
That's true.
I don't, so I don't have any juice recipes in here.
Are you going to do a juice recipe book maybe later? Because the plant-based juice recipes are the best too, as well as that cooking. But if you're looking for the health of your family right now and getting their immune system up and strong, some of these things that you're talking about are absolutely foundational to eating and things like that. Yep, that to me is exciting. So,
yeah, you know, the slow cooker is a great way to learn to cook because you're really not doing a whole lot. Some of the recipes require a tiny bit of prep, but one of my rules was it couldn't be more than 20 minutes of prep time. So, I mean, when we say chop and drop, really, like a lot of the recipes, you chop it, you throw it in there, you turn it on, you're done. You don't have to think about it until it's time to eat, and it smells delicious, and you're like, what is that? Oh, wait,
so
it's my
easy.
dinner.
Love it. Yes. That is so easy. I love that. This bowl right here, see, it says bowl has names. There are names in here. Ooh. These are the names of the people who have requested. Somebody is about to win a cookbook, and I'm shuffling right here, and I'm going to shut my eyes. Everybody sees my eyes shuffling, and I'm picking this one right here. Who is winning the cookbook today? Let's see.
Drum roll.
Robert Stern, Mr. Ambassador himself, Robert Stern. There you are. Robert
Congratulations.
Stern. Listen, Robert, we're going to need your address, my friend, to ship you a cookbook that will it be, you know, it'll come from the publisher or whatever else. But what I'm going to ask you to do is, you know, private message Felicia Slattery, your address on Facebook so that they can get a cookbook out to you. That's fantastic. That is congratulations, Robert Stern. You know, we call him Mr. Ambassador because he's a coffee break show ambassador. And this guy has been watching the coffee break show since it's maybe the third show onward. And he's been a fan of the show this many years right now. And we're rolling up on our, you know, 500th show. And so, and on the 500th show, he's been here the whole time. I'm really excited about that. You will get your plant-based cooking, slow cooker cookbook. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
Plant-based, slow cooker cookbook.
Yes, congratulations, Robert. You got it. So there's that, Robert. Congratulations. That's right. You got that slow cooker cookbook. Please DM Robert. Congratulations. Let's see.
And Robert, I will be commenting on the thread when we're done here. So you'll be able to find my name, then click on me and send me a DM. So that way, a private message, and I will get your cookbook out to you. Yay.
Yeah. And look, Robert, as soon as you get the cookbook, you just let us know when we're supposed to be there for dinner. We'll just be doing that. So that was exciting. That was fun. I love giving stuff away. Pretty soon I'm going to be like Oprah. You get a cookbook and you get a cookbook and you get a cookbook. It'll happen. And don't you have another, a second cookbook coming out as well, don't you?
I do. The second one is with my same publisher. It is all recipes in the Instant Pot. So we did slow recipes
I
first,
love Instapot.
and then the other one's going to be fast. So, and there are another 80 recipes in that one. And it is coming at the end of the summer. So maybe I'll come on then and we'll use my Instant Pot and we'll make something together. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I love the Instapot. Absolutely love it. We cook in it all the time. Let's see. Look at this. Look who's excited now. Woohoo! Mr. Ambassador, you won the cookbook today. So she'll be contacting you inside the thread today to get you hooked up with your cookbook. Let's see. Felicia, you have such great ideas, tips, and tricks. She does. I wasn't that okay. Just, you know what went through my mind? I was like, I will tell you, people have compost piles in their backyard when you have a farm. And anytime that you take all the extra stuff that is cut off of the vegetables, you always put them in the compost pile. But now I'm thinking the veggie broth idea, that was so smart, so slick. Okay, so tips and tricks and what great resources. Your book is amazing. Can't wait to have finished all the recipes. I can't wait either because I am the food taster of our household. I get to taste all those great recipes too.
And Robin already has the book. She was one of our advanced reviewers. So
that's
thank
right.
You,
we
Robin.
do already. And we weren't going to let the cat out of the bag, but everyone is invited to dinner.
Thank you publicly, Robin, for being one of my advanced reviewers. I'm glad that you love the book and can't wait to hear which recipes are your favorite.
Yes. And Robert, here's my request. You get a free cookbook in there. Would you please go on Amazon and leave a review about the cookbook for Felicia? Because I'm going to be the friend right now. Reviews help. They help. So that 5-star review, if you could leave one for her, I'd really be thankful for that. We definitely are with ours. The Instapot, my non-negotiable kitchen appliance. This is what we have. I can't wait for that. He says, definitely in big writing. Thank you for that. That is like something incredible. Felicia, thank you for a wonderful show. She always does a wonderful show. Congratulations on your new cookbook. You know what's interesting to me? As long as we've been friends. Now, I want to let you know, we met on the speaking stages of somewhere. I think it was an impact event eons ago. Yeah. And I have enjoyed your career and your story. You are such a bounce back, get up and do it woman. And it's not just, it's like your whole story, your illness. You guys don't know this, or maybe you do, because we talked about your lung cancer story on this show and why she eats plant-based now, because she went through this and lived. And then she's spoken everywhere. You were also a college professor, weren't you?
Yes. I taught at the University of Illinois at Chicago and a handful of other schools in the Chicago area before we moved down here to Knoxville.
And I actually remember that far. I remember when you lived in Chicago as well. Yeah. But I think what's really interesting about knowing you or working or watching you, I have also been one of her students. I took a speeding course, and thus I've outrun all the police officers in my neighborhood. No, but speaking course I did and I was a professional speaker then. I still took that course, and it was on making your speaker sheet, because you can always improve that. And there's so many things that you can do, but the thing that I like the most is the pivot you did. You're like, okay, this is happening. And she didn't say, where can I make the most money from? She said, where am I? Where do I love? What's my next passion? What can I teach? And what can I turn into? This is the point of of having excellence and building a life you love, imagining and creating a life you love. She has a very talented family. All of them are talented, but your daughter just did 42nd Street. Yes.
Yes, my little one. She'd never tap danced a day in her life. And then they just did a show. And I'm telling you what, I was like, what?
I know.
Amazing. So
I know it's like never tap dance. Your other daughter sings. Everybody's super talented in your house. You have like the most talented household, and I love catching up on Facebook because I know I know this was opening night. This is etc.
I know, that's the best. That's one of the best things about Facebook, because you can kind of follow along with everybody's lives and see kind of what's happening. And so we've got a new YouTube channel now. That's new since the last time we talked. So I've got a plant-based home cooking YouTube channel.
Hey, Robin, find the channel so people can subscribe to that, so that they can watch her, make the recipes as well. That's very cool. That's also cool. Oh, hey, hang on. Thank you. I'm enjoying the recipes and recipes are using ingredients easy to get at the store. Yes. And quickly make a must-have, as many people think that plant-based means being a kitchen slave all day. No, they don't. This is what's powerful about this book. You can put it in the morning and dinner's ready when you get home. That's the beauty of it.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm embarrassed. I have to look up what an Instapot is. And when you do, you'll never turn back. They're really great. It's an amazing, slow, fast pressure cooker.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. So looking forward to the Instapot cooking book. Me too. Listen, we already have in this thread, you can pre-order this book. It's coming out next week. It's Cinco de Mayo. We made guacamole, and I'm just really excited about that. I love guacamole, and here we go. Here it is. Here's Felicia's YouTube channel. Go ahead, go there right now and subscribe to it. Don't leave the show yet. Just pull up another tab. And then go subscribe to the show, and then go get your copy of that cookbook, because what you're talking about is food that you can enjoy that will turn your health and life around. Mm-hmm. And that is really, that's really the big thing. And when you buy one, don't forget to leave your Amazon review. Let's see.
And by the way, the food is not just healthy. That's the thing. One thing, a lot of people think, healthy food has to all taste like you're eating cardboard, or you're eating rabbit food. It's delicious.
It's really delicious.
Because I would not eat this way if it was not sustainably delicious. I just wouldn't. And my family wouldn't eat this way, because I have been a foodie, like I told you, like my whole life. Yeah. So they got used to a standard of taste, of quality of food. And they would have rebelled.
What is this, Mom? Yes, Love Successful Family is a great story. Yes, thank you. Subscribe. Thank you. Me too. Glad you guys have subscribed. You want to go up, pull that up and subscribe. Felicia, always fun having you on the show. And I want to say thank you so much for being here and being so available. And I'm excited to see the next cookbook and the success of this cookbook and how many people's lives you change one meal at a time.
Thank you so much, Vickie. I'm grateful to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right, you guys, you know what time it is. Nobody gets out of here without leaving the music. I'll see you guys later. Bye.